Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks. This time I'm playing in the Tier 4 American non-turreted tank destroyer, the T40. Now this vehicle has always been a little bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, but it's fallen out of favor because in patch 9.6 the view range of this tank was nerfed from an amazing 400 to a paltry 310. Now 310 meters view range is not exceptional. With binoculars, you can still get it up to a decent, I think about 430 meters view range if you're using a premium consumable with a skilled crew. But then again, how many people are using premium consumables and skilled crews on tier 4 tanks? So when they took the monster view ranger away from this vehicle, it did hit it really hard. But there are still some strengths of it, like this 105mm. And with the occasional heat round, you can devastate equal tiered premium tanks and also put some huge rounds into above tiered vehicles that give you their side or rear armor. That PZB2 on the enemy team is certainly a strong player playing his tier 4 tanks, but he's not feeling too well now as we took 92% of his hit points away from him. Now you don't have to fire heat on this tank. The high explosive rounds on it are also exceptional. They've got 53mm of penetration, and if you manage to penetrate the enemy tank, you've got 410 average damage. That will pretty much one-shot every equal and lower tier tank if you manage to penetrate them with those 53mm. But of course, 53mm isn't dependable. As we're going to see later on in the replay, it's not even dependable against very lightly armored tanks. And so that means that with careful use of your premium rounds, you can take out very dangerous, important targets on the enemy team before the game has already begun, just like the PZB2s. And when you want to carry a game, you do need to take out the most dangerous tanks on the enemy team. And so for me, the big warning tanks were the PZB2s. They've got monstrous armor and they've got a pretty good gun as well that would just cut through pretty much all the other tanks on my team, apart from possibly the Hetzers, and the Lee could contest them. So when you're in a matchup, definitely think about taking out the strongest opponents first. And right now I'm thinking, yeah, I want to take out that PZB2. Even though we put him down to 8% of his hit points with the first shot of the game, he's already gone on to pick up 3 kills. Can you imagine if we weren't focusing him, what he could do? And that is a high explosive round going through the side of the Chi-He, doing 350 damage. That was pretty much always going to be a one-shot. We only needed to roll for 350, but the 410 average alpha certainly gave him a butt kicking. What tier is a Chi-He? It's a tier 4? We just one-shot a tier 4 Japanese medium tank. And we didn't even have to use premium rounds to be able to do so. The T40 is an absolute monster. I think I averaged 3 to 3.5 kills a game in this machine over the, I think, 80 or 90 games that I have played in it. Of course, it has seen better days, but you've got to take your chances with that 105mm. As we saw there, we whipped a shot into the turret of a Matilda, and that is a dangerous tank as well. I didn't even see that one. The tier 4 British medium tank, the Matilda, has an amazing gun and really, really good armor for a tier 4 tank that many vehicles on my team simply couldn't penetrate. So doing 88 damage to his turret and possibly doing some critical damage with those high explosive hits is a good impact. So what you see me doing now is reversing. And why am I reversing? Because I want to light up this PZB2, the guy who's now picked up 4 kills even though we reduced him to 8% of his hit points, for my artillery. I'm hoping that the Matilda will come back, waiting for it. But what I really want to do is reverse again and light up that PZB2 who's on top of the hill for my team. Now you could see when I was stationary there just how far my view range extended with my binoculars. Back in the day in patch 9.5 and before, I would have had, gosh, upwards of nearly 500 meters view range with a good skill crew and the premium consumable. Now right now this game isn't going too well. The enemies are ahead by 3 tanks, and I think there's a sneaky Hetzer coming around the east. So I've loaded a heat shell knowing that he's got 270 hit points, and that if we hit him, it's a guaranteed one-shot with the heat. Now if I'd been using high explosive rounds there, I would have probably done maybe 100 damage to the front of his vehicle. I possibly could have tracked him and tried to get his side. The heat round there secured a kill on an important opponent. And that's what you need to use your premium rounds for, especially when you're in a very nice matchup such as this. So right now I wanted to get back into the base to be able to protect my artillery and use my view range, but I got ambushed by a Type 95. That is the brand new Tier 4 Japanese heavy tank, and I know it's got terrible armor. But there's that Matilda. Hopefully we can hit him in the side. Got to shoot through the bushes. Oh, what a disaster. These shells have only got about 300 meters velocity, 300 meters a second velocity. So that meant that we missed him. However, the Type 95, with his god-awful armor, gets penetrated by our high explosive round there, taking him down. So that miss on the Matilda was painful. We're already up to 1,447 damage and 4 kills, which is really good in a Tier 4 tank. But it's not enough. We need more from this. So unfortunately, I was unable to stop that Matilda from killing our artillery. A bit of a misplay there by me that I missed that shot earlier. And my artillery are paying for it. The Marder 38T comes around the corner. We fire a high explosive round at him. Oh, it didn't quite hit the gun shield, and so we don't one-shot him, but we severely cripple him, and then we put another round into his tank. We are in a 1 versus 4 situation now that we secure the kill on the Marder 38. We put another high explosive round into the side of the Matilda, taking him out. Now I wedge my tank up here to avoid the Su-26 and the Vesper. The Su-26 on the enemy team especially has got a fantastic gun arc, and I really don't want to have to deal with that. So we've had a great game so far. We've picked up 6 kills. That's a top gun. Most Tier 4 tanks will be thinking, okay, job done. But no, I really want to come through this one with a win. And considering I've got a lot of my hit points intact, and the fact that we're dealing with 2 artilleries after we took out those 2 Tier 4 tanks in the enemy base, well, we're doing pretty well, and we've got a seriously good chance to be able to get the medal that everybody wants, the Kolobanov's medal for standing alone against 5 opponents. So right now, I'm thinking that the AMX-40, which is a very slow tank, must be trundling along the west, and I want to go and hunt the artillery. And lucky for me, the Vesper is right there, and we take him down. I want to get moving quickly. For all I know, the AMX-40 could be anywhere, and the Su-26 might be taking pot shots at us. The Su-26 sounds like he tries to hit a shell on me, but luckily doesn't hit my tank. Now, fortunately for me, the frontal armor on the T40 is actually pretty good. It's got 50 millimeters of turret armor, and we can hear that the Su-26 is still trying to blind fire to get me. He's already picked up 2 kills. That's a monster of an artillery piece at Tier 3, especially against an open-top tank like this. If he manages to, I don't know, play basketball and land his shell right in the top, I am going to be having a very bad day very quickly. But the 51 millimeters of frontal hull armor in this tank, pretty good at taking high explosive rounds. It would be a 50-50 more or less if I shot myself with a high explosive round, whether it was going to go through. But irrelevant if it does go through, I'm still going to take a huge amount of punishment. But hopefully, if the Su-26 does hit us in the front of our tank, rather than the top, we should be okay. So you see me stopping, and why am I stopping there? I'm stopping to activate my binoculars. You have to remain stationary for a little while to activate your binoculars. And doing so in bushes, when you're in a tank with only 310 meters view range, is very important. I was thinking maybe the AMX-40 would have been in this area, but considering that somebody is capping, we now know that either the Su-26 or the AMX-40 is inside the enemy cap circle. I need to interrupt that, so I'm racing to get into position. I still think that high explosive rounds are going to be the best option for me. The AMX-40 has got very good armor. And where did that shot come from? The Su-26 takes a stab at me. There's no way that I'm spotted right now. My sixth sense would have gone off. Either that Su-26 was watching my stream and guessing where I was going to be, or having a good go. And there's actually 2 people in the cap circle. The Su-26 takes a snapshot at me, but it only does 4 damage to the front of my tank. God bless that 50 millimeters of frontal hull armor. And we managed to shut him down. He had already been damaged, but we did the last 64 damage that we needed. Now we've put up our damage total to 8. And luckily for us, we saw that the AMX-40 on the enemy team has also been damaged. I try and sneak a shot through here, but we don't spot, and I don't want to fire to give away my position right now. Now, when you're trying to take out inexperienced opponents at the end of the game, it's very good to try and flank them. If I try to push around that corner again, for all intents and purposes, we have to presume that the AMX-40 will think that I'm still there. However, by sneaking in the other way and using bushes, hopefully to our advantage, we're going to be able to spot him. And can we handle this situation at the end of the game? Where is that duck tank? There he is! AMX-40! And we shut him down. 142 damage, splashing over that tier 4 French light tank, picking up the 9th kill and giving us over 2,100 damage done this game. And well played by the AMX-40 at the end of this game. He went in exactly where he needed to go, i.e. hiding behind the enemy tank. If I was firing high explosive rounds, that means that if my shot had gone into the Su-26, it would have been absorbed. But luckily for us, it flew true and we hit him right in the front of his armor. And that was enough to do the damage that we required to pick up the game. And I do feel a little sorry for the AMX-40 and all of the other players on the enemy team. It just doesn't feel very fair for me to be playing at these low tiers. And that's one of the reasons why I just don't get the satisfaction. Frankly, fair enough, I got a Kolobanov's medal here, but it didn't even really matter to me that much. I really do strive for a challenge in World of Tanks, and that's why I try to play as many games as I can at tier 9 and above. And so that's why you don't see me playing many low tier tanks, and thus why not many are featured on this channel. But I really wanted to do a feature on the T40. For me, it's a lot like a Hetzer, which is another dastardly tier 4 tank and has a sweet spot, in my opinion, with the 105mm. When you do manage to get yourself into a top tier, there's not an enemy tank on the enemy team that with a little luck you're going to be able to one-shot. And even when you get yourself into a bad matchup, the enemy have still got to be very afraid just from the consistent high explosive splash damage that you're going to be able to do to them. Now, I'm not saying that the T40 is overpowered anymore. With the view range nerf to this tank, bringing it down to 310 meters from 400 meters, you do have to be a lot more careful and considerate about the positions that you take this tank into to activate your binoculars to be able to see your opponents, God forbid, in a low-tier tank destroyer. And furthermore, the 105mm isn't the same as it used to be when the heat rounds on this tank had 150mm of penetration. Can you believe it? Those times. Thank goodness they're gone. And that gives more room for a meta outside of 105mm derp guns, even up to tier 7. The key things to bring out this game really are that strategic use of premium rounds can give you a definitive advantage in the game. And as we're going to see in the post-game stats, also still allow you to make a decent profit. While also, it's very important to target the strongest players on the enemy team who are in the most powerful vehicles, as it's no coincidence that they're going to be the ones that are picking apart your less experienced players and trying to come through with the victory. As I previously mentioned, this PZB2, which was the first shell that we hit of the game, reducing him to 8 hit points, still went on to pick up 4 kills and provide excellent view range from the position up here, putting pressure up on my artillery. When you're top tier, it's up to you to carry the game, and really, there aren't very many more powerful tanks at tier 4 than the T40 for doing so. Let's just take a very quick look at the post-game stats. So we ended up with a pretty alright result here. We got the high caliber medal for doing the highest damage in the game, a top gun, a defender, and the one that everyone wants, a Kolobanov's medal, for standing alone against at least 5 opponents and coming through with the victory. But it just feels so cheap for me at tier 4. I do value the Kolobanov's medal. The last one that I got that I think was in a T54 as a tier 9 tank far more highly. Nevertheless, we certainly did have to carry this game. We did 1,422 base experience points, needing to do more damage than the rest of our team combined to be able to get the victory. Hitting every shot that we fired apart from that one, and that nearly cost us the game. That one miss on the Matilda was nearly catastrophic, allowing my artillery to die. And with a combination of heat and high explosive, all of them penetrated the enemy tanks. So for me, the T40 is a bundle of fun, and I thoroughly recommend you go and check it out. Especially if you're not a high tier player and you want to experience an infrequently played tank that is capable of some serious carrying. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving it a like down below. And let me know in the comments whether you can see any differences in the quality. I've been trying some new render settings as well as FPS rates. Hopefully this is going to be the best quality that I've ever had thanks to the new computer. And if you haven't seen that video, then simply click through right up here and you can see the beast that is powering this enhanced quality. And hopefully you guys don't mind a few more low-tier gameplays on this channel. They're one of the most highly requested things that I get. And it's understandable considering not everyone is walking around at tier 8 and above. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.